Hello again, everyone. Edwin Learnard back once again. In this YouTube astrological segment, I'm going to be talking about Jupiter at 29 degrees in astrology. Now, 29 degrees in astrology, otherwise known as the anaretic degree. Now, this degree may be crisis-oriented. It could be over matters connected with the law, doing things in excess, religion. It could be over traveling abroad. This could be, and also trying to maybe be lucky, such as gambling. Now, also 29 degrees in astrology can be a degree of ambivalence and indecision. Now, it could also be 29 degrees Jupiter can give very distorted, enlarged exuberance, enthusiasm, and optimism, and also very exceptional expansiveness. The person may be so positive to the point of overconfidence and even being very coxcombical, perhaps, and it could even manifest maybe in being pretentious or arrogant. It really it can enlarge issues connected with the sign. Remember, Jupiter already can potentially, I think, enlarge issues based on the sign that it's in. And then when you have it at 29 degrees, you're getting almost expanded in large issues, distorted in large issues. So this could be like a double whammy. Remember, Jupiter could be paradoxical, could be very benign and benevolent, but it could also have that tendency to enlarge and expand. Somebody with Jupiter in Pisces, for example, may have very enlarged issues with the feet, the toes, the lymphatic system, even alcohol and drugs. I have Jupiter in Libra. It's not at the 29th degree, but it's at a critical degree, 26 degrees, in conjunct my ascendant, and I have had a number of issues for a protracted period of time with my lower back, and I've had kidney issues as well. So somebody, if they have Jupiter in Libra at 29 degrees, they could have certain issues with that, in connection with that as well, and very enlarged issues, and especially say if it's conjunct the ascendant or it's in the 6th house in conjunct the ascendant, something where it could strongly indicate a health issues connected with that sign. Now, the thing about this is this could also give very tremendous benevolence and goodwill, and also this is something too where it is the planet of expansion, could give very inflated energy of the already expanded energy of the planet. Now, this could be the person that might have an incessant need for long journeys, sometimes almost compulsively. The person, this could also be a person that could be that perpetual, I call higher education, a person out of high school that constantly needs to learn. It could be somebody that takes many college courses. And again, could even be everything but a compulsive publisher. This could be the person, if it's somebody that does publishing, may do this very excessively. Now, the thing about it is, again, 29 degrees in Jupiter, they may have exaggerated, that you could have very exaggerated, distorted enthusiasm and exuberance. But what happens is, I think what could happen with 29 degrees Jupiter, you could express so much exuberance and enthusiasm, it could leave you drained in that department, so to speak. And what happens is you could go through protracted periods of not really expressing any of it, and may come across as very maybe stalled or very serious and placid for a protracted period of time because of that. Now, another thing is that it could also be looking at this. 29 degrees Jupiter can be a very strong point of really overemphasis and overcompensation. Let's say, when I talked about before about somebody could really be overly cocksure or even very exceptionally overconfident. Somebody, let's say 29 degrees Jupiter in Sagittarius, let's say it's somebody that's like a workout fanatic and is trying to bench press 400 pounds, and the most they ever did before was like 350, and wind up causing an injury due to the fact they were overconfident in as far as what they could bench press. That could be an example. Now, Also, too, this could be somebody that could be exceptionally upbeat about something 1 minute, but then may all of a sudden become supremely pessimistic and downcast about something. It could also be a person that might have very exceptional jocular and jovial nature. It could be somebody that may laugh at virtually everything at one moment, but then all of a sudden that great robust sense of humor may dissipate for a protracted period of time. This could be somebody too that may have very emphasized benevolence and vivaciousness, but the thing about it is, it's I think what it is, it could be when I look at 29 degrees, it really can show a very overabundance and surfeit of energy. And when you utilize so much energy, sometimes it does leave you drained, and then you might go through periods by not using it. Now, the thing about it is, it's also important to look at the sign that Jupiter is in, as this can impact the delineation. Now, for example, let's take somebody that has Jupiter in Gemini at 29 degrees. This may be a person that may have an exaggerated and distorted need for very exuberant, enthusiastic communications, variety, versatility, and doing things with the hands that require dexterity, such as auto or refrigeration mechanics. It could also be exceptionally fortuitous, lucky, and fortunate in those things that I describe as examples for Jupiter and Gemini. Now, a person may also be very loquacious, even garrulous, to the point of dominating conversations and talking over others continually. Now, that was interesting. As a celebrity example goes, I think this is a good example. Now, Stephen A. Smith, who is one of the hosts of ESPN's First Take, has his Jupiter in Leo at 29 degrees. And saying he is supremely enthusiastic and exuberant regarding sports-related matters could be a vast understatement. It could also give a lot of confidence and self-assuredness. He boasts about his credentials, such as working at some Philadelphia newspaper for like 17 years or something. And I mean, he certainly does not lack self-assuredness or confidence. And the thing about it is, he could come across to others perhaps as being arrogant, but I don't think necessarily so. But I think he is supremely confident. He also is I think Jupiter in Leo 29 degrees can give very enlarged, extroverted, and gregarious qualities, and perhaps a distorted need for the limelight. And if I'm not mistaken, his sun in Libra is a singleton, so that even further reaffirms a very strong, powerful need to be in that spotlight. So, and also too, Jupiter in Leo can be very lucky when loud and boisterous, which I think he certainly is, and also some affluence connected with this. I'm sure he does have a very prodigious salary, and then you're talking at 29 degrees. This could be even more emphasized, this energy. Now, the thing also falls in Stephen A. Smith's, as far as his solar chart goes, in his 11th house, and it is conjunct Venus and Virgo. So this could be a lot of this expanded Jupiter Leo, the ferocity and domination, and being dominant what he does, and attention-seeking energy, blending in with that Venus and Virgo, enjoyment of love, of analysis, extrapolation of data, and criticism and dissection. It's almost like his motto in his own way, whether he says it aloud or not, is kind of like, put the camera on, maybe not in these exact words, but not far from it, put the camera on me so I can do what I enjoy, analyze, dissect, and criticize. Now that is basically his mode of being. I'm being facetious about what he's actually thinking, of course, because I can't get into his mind. But anyway, I think that is basically, that is that energy he is projecting very strongly, I believe. So anyway, and also, in being in the 11th house, of course, this could be an enlarged need for really group-related matters and things that are associated with aspirations and goals. Now, the aspects Jupiter makes at 29 degrees can be to points in the natal chart, can play a role in the delineation and interpretation as well. If it makes predominantly positive aspects, this person may be very exceptionally lucky, fortuitous, and fortunate in connection with the sign and house that it is in. Now, if it's the fact that it could be very positive, supreme, exorbitant amount of a real strong, positive, expansive energy, and it could be very contagious to others. Now, however, if it makes mainly adverse aspects to points in one's natal chart, this could be a lot of enlarged, distorted, negative qualities in connection with that sign that it may be in and the house. Now, it could be certain coxcombical qualities, overconfidence, maybe even really having a real foolhardy nature. Somebody that could just really be give in to excesses, and maybe taking a lot of chances and trying to be lucky and having succumbing to repercussions because of that. Now, also too, now let's take some specific examples. Let's say that 29 degrees Jupiter in one's chart makes a sextile or trine to their natal Venus. Now, this person may be someone that has inordinate luck and fortune in terms of generating income. Let's say that it could be very auspicious for making money. Now, let's say if somebody has Jupiter at 29 degrees and it is conjunct their ascendant. Now, this may give a very powerful proclivity or propensity to gain weight. Jupiter conjunct one's ascendant can do that anyway, but when it's at 29 degrees, that could be even more enlarged and inflated, that possibility. Now, another example, let's say that Jupiter at 29 degrees in one's chart makes an adverse aspect to one's Pluto. Hold on a minute, people. Sorry about that, people. Anyway, now let's say again, going back, if let's say somebody has Jupiter at 29 degrees and it makes an adverse aspect to one's Pluto in their natal chart. It could be a person that might have an excessive need as far as indoctrination of others and in terms of religious or philosophical belief, or it could be somebody that could be even a foolhardy risk taker compulsively. It could almost be like in some cases it could be a compulsive gambler, somebody that constantly takes risk compulsively or excessively, and maybe has an obsession with this, and it might be too strongly to their detriment. Now, let's say that somebody has Jupiter at 29 degrees in their natal chart. It makes an adverse aspect to their Uranus. This could be a person that could be somebody that makes a lot of practical jokes, and maybe in terms of shocking others. And I'm not saying practical jokes are bad, but sometimes people can get carried away, and they could do it just to completely surprise or scare somebody, and it could manifest in a somewhat negative way when you have that Jupiter 29 degrees making an adverse aspect to one's Uranus in their natal chart. So, as far as predictive astrology goes, this could be the completion or culmination of a philosophical or religious belief. It could be something where it could be the end of a long journey or something, or completion of a higher education course. Let's say in the 11th house, that could be tied in with a goal or an aspiration. In the 10th house, another example, tied into one's career aims as well. Now, let's say it could also be, in predictive astrology, another example can be if Jupiter is at 29 degrees in transit, it could be something where, or even by progression, it could be something that maybe the completion of a publication that somebody may have worked on for some time, that was a writing and finally just got published after perhaps a lot of painstaking and laborious efforts. So anyway, people, that'll conclude this YouTube astrological segment for Jupiter at 29 degrees in astrology. Stay tuned next time, where I'm going to be talking about Saturn at 29 degrees in astrology. Two things I want to get with you on before I head out. Firstly, the stars may impel but do not compel. And secondly, never isolate any single astrological element, aspect, planetary placement, position, configuration, influence, or what have you, and make an analysis of a person, astrologically speaking, based on this alone, because astrologically speaking, the person is the sum of all their components in their natal chart and not just one. Until next time, people, stay well.